Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Dan Hiscock, and 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Frederick Onesimus Hewett Mildren and warmly welcome his family who are in attendance this evening. Private Mildren's story will be told shortly by Squadron Leader William Mildren from the Royal Australian Air Force, who is a member of Private Mildren's family. We warmly welcome the delegation from 1 Recruit Training Unit, Royal Australian Air Force, visiting from Wagga Wagga, New South Wales. As always, we welcome the veterans who are served, those still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Service Clubs Association, and we welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family, visitors to the memorial, and students on behalf of Trinity Anglican School visiting from White Rock, Queensland. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you, students, and anyone else able to, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Frederick Onesimus Hewett Mildren. Frederick Onesimus Hewett Mildren was born on the 13th of October 1890, the fourth of 7 children born to Jacob and Alice Mildren. Known as Fred to his family and friends, he spent his early childhood years in the Mundura district, in the northern parts of the Yorke Peninsula, South Australia, where his parents worked as farmers. In 1894, when he was around 4 years old, his family travelled by horse and wagon, taking livestock and machinery with them on a 3-month, 700-kilometre long journey from Mundura across the Eyre Peninsula to work on a new farm in Bookerby on the Great Australian Bight. A rabbit plague soon drove them off the farm, and they made the return journey back to Mundura, where they continued farming, and Fred attended the Kelly School in Mundura. In 1904, his parents once again headed west to the Eyre Peninsula, where they took up a new farm near Cummins, 70 kilometres north of Port Lincoln. Fred worked on the family farm in Mundura and in Cummins, and later took up work as a motor driver at a livery yard, caring for horses. Times were tough, and after several unsuccessful years attempting to grow crops, the family eventually moved to Port Lincoln. It was while he was living here in October 1916 that Fred Mildren enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force. After less than 2 months' initial training, he sailed from Adelaide aboard the transport ship Berrima as part of reinforcements for the 10th Australian Infantry Battalion. He arrived in Devonport, England, 2 months later. In England, he continued his training until March 1917, when he sailed for France and the war on the Western Front. He joined his unit, the 10th Battalion, as it was training behind the lines near Bapaume in northern France. Mildren spent his first 4 months in France engaged in extended training behind the lines. He had his first major action in September 1917 at the Battle of Menin Road in Belgium. In this battle, fought from the 20th to the 22nd of September, his unit moved from the front lines in sleeting rain and under gas artillery fire before taking part in a major assault on the German lines at dawn. The Australians encountered several well-defended enemy positions and then saw off a German counterattack. The action was successful for the Allies, but came at heavy cost. The Australian forces lost more than 5,000 casualties. A letter written by Mildren's father Jacob suggests that Fred served as a stretcher bearer during his time with the 10th Battalion. At one point, he was recommended for an award by a lieutenant in the battalion for his bravery carrying food to the wounded under heavy fire. The records, however, do not indicate that he ever received official recognition for his actions for reasons that are unknown. Fred Mildren, nonetheless, continued to serve proudly and regularly wrote to his family. In early May 1918, he and the 10th Infantry Battalion were operating in the Strat-Ziel sector of northern France near the border of Belgium. On the night of the 8th to the 9th of May, they moved into the frontline trenches to relieve another Australian battalion that were in position shortly after 1 in the morning. Troop movements of this type were hazardous and attracted enemy machine gun, rifle, and artillery fire. The diary of the 10th Battalion records that the unit lost 3 men killed and 2 wounded as they moved into position. Fred Mildren was one of those struck by enemy fire. On the 9th of May 1918, he was admitted to the 3rd Field Ambulance with a gunshot wound to his leg and was later taken to a nearby casualty clearing station. There, he died of his wounds. He was 27 years old. He is buried at the Eblington Military Cemetery, France, where 441 Commonwealth soldiers of the First World War now lie. Fred Mildren is listed on the Roll of Honour to my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Frederick Onesimus Hewett Mildren, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
We'll leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, the staff and the volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. Wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.